Welcome back to the Page by Page Book Club. I'm your host, Paige in Print, and I bring you weekly book club meetings wherever you get your podcasts. Look, I am a podcaster of the people. Ask and you shall receive. I took it to a vote on my Bookstagram stories, and I asked you all what episode you wanted to see next, and the overwhelming vote was a romantic suspense episode. I'm not surprised, but that was the vote, and because I am a podcaster of the people, because I listen, here we are today to discuss all things romantic suspense. If you didn't know, which I know many of you do, I am a huge romantic suspense fan. Like, it takes up a significant percentage of the types of books that I read. I crunched some numbers before recording this episode, and the numbers say I have read over 60 romantic suspense books. Yes, the rumors are true. After checking today, I have read 299 books, and of those, approximately 20% of them are romantic suspense. So I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I'm also not gonna say that I'm an expert. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a connoisseur. What can I say? So yes, 20% of the books I read are romantic suspense. And if any of you at home are asking yourself, what is romantic suspense? I will enlighten you. The romantic suspense genre combines the romance genre with sort of a thriller suspense element to it. So each of these books has a strong romance storyline and a secondary strong suspense storyline. In some books, one might outweigh the other. My favorite is kind of a 50-50 split, but you're combining elements of romance and elements of thriller and suspense into one beautiful book. So let's talk about why I love it. Because why not? It's my podcast. I'm going to talk about what I want. And then I will give you plenty of recommendations for this genre. Kind of talk about a few of my faves, if that works for you. She asks the empty room. So, diving in, what do I love about romantic suspense? Well, a little lore for you. Before I was a reader, I was a big true crime girly. I loved a true crime podcast. If you're in the market for a true crime podcast, my favorite's Going West. I mean, there are plenty out there, obviously. And I don't know, what is it with girls in true crime? I kind of think it's our empathy, our desire to understand people, and these suspects in true crime cases are just truly unbelievable. They're so hard to understand. That's kind of what I think. That's my suspicion. I'm sure there are plenty of psychological analyses out there that I did not research before this episode. So we are here today with me going on a hope and a prayer. But I was a true crime fan. And once I started reading, I legitimately kind of eliminated every other form of entertainment from my life. Right or wrong, good or bad, that's just kind of how it went. Podcasts were replaced by audiobooks. My TV watching time was replaced by reading. And so, thus, the true crime element of my life kind of fizzled into nothing because the only way I was consuming true crime content was through podcasts and documentary style stuff. So I kind of stopped consuming that type of media, which ended up working out because around that same time I was kind of experiencing a dilemma of the profitability off of people's tragedy type thing. I haven't really poked around in my heart enough to make a decision on that, but when I think too hard about true crime and about how it is in some ways profiting off of people's tragedy, it is a bummer. There's so much more nuance than that, but anywho, I digress. That is not what we're discussing today. So it worked out that I stopped listening to true crime. But I think the piece of me that was fascinated by this was satiated by the romantic suspense genre. It kind of gave me an element of that crime, unsub psyche type thing. And I was like, oh, I'm in. Count me in. Buy me a ticket, put me on the train. So, what I like about the romantic suspense genre is it takes the pressure off of the couple to have a significant amount of conflict within their relationship. Now, I get that it's a romance book, and for it to be entertaining, there has to be a level of conflict and conflict resolution and all of that good stuff. But I don't love watching my favorite couple struggle always. But I would say as a reader, I do prefer the conflict to be outside of the couple. Like it's like us against the world, us against this one thing instead of me versus you. That's not to say I'll never read it or that I'll never like when that happens, but it's just kind of like my personal preference. I like reading that you and me versus the world type thing. And so I think the romantic suspense genre lends itself to that in every sense, because with a heavy suspense plot, there is always, 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 always built-in conflict. And I love it. Now, do I have severe anxiety? Yes. Is the romantic suspense genre great for my anxiety? Probably not. But I read it anyway. And I still really love it. Now, does it keep me up at night sometimes? Kind of. I do think reading it, honestly, is better than listening to true crime or watching true crime documentaries because it's fictional, right? And like true crime is true. It's in the title. So, yes, I'm anxious. No, this doesn't really lend itself to that, but I do appreciate the fiction of it all, despite my anxiety. So, romantic suspense takes the pressure off the couple and kind of makes an us versus the world type thing, and it's not real. Okay, now that you know why I love it, let's dive into some recommendations, shall we? I have a few go-to romantic suspense authors that I really, really love to recommend. So I'm going to start with them, and then I'll get into a few like standalone conversations because why not? Let's just go ahead and talk about her. I'm going to start this episode and this group of recommendations by chatting about Catherine Cowles. You knew this was coming. Catherine is a romantic suspense author. She writes, from my understanding and my experience reading her backlog, I think I've read her entire backlog. She exclusively writes romantic suspense. And she is just top of class in this genre. It is all that she does at the time of this recording, and she does it so well. She has 5 series that I have read from her and a standalone. I always love recommending her standalone to be read first to kind of get you into the romantic suspense genre. It is called All the Missing Pieces. It follows a true crime podcaster who has a personal tie to a case, and she's very interested in solving this case. And so she moves to this small town in her cutie little camper van and is going to stake out the place and try to solve this case. Well, the local town sheriff also has a very personal connection to the case and does not want her in town. The passion that they both have for this case, it was so fun to read. I think All the Missing Pieces might be my favorite work from Catherine. I mean, it's hard to say. I've read 27 books by her. Out of the 27, this is such a great place to start. Again, it is a standalone, so you're not committing to a full series. All of her books are interconnected standalone, so none of the suspense plots span over the course of multiple books, which is helpful. So you can really dive in wherever you would like. I'm not going to give you the synopsis of every single book that she's ever written because I've literally read 27 of them. And I mean, I could do a whole Catherine episode if that's something you're in the market for, but for right now, I'm just going to give you kind of some overviews now of her series. I'm going to work chronologically in reverse. Cool? Great. Her current series that she is working on is called Sparrow Falls. Sparrow Falls is a series following a fostered family. I am not misspeaking and intending to say found family. I truly mean a family of foster children who have been taken in by a lovely mother and a hilarious grandmother and have created a beautiful melting pot of a family, and each book follows one of the siblings. I'm not going to give you a synopsis of each, but I can give you a little rundown. The first one is Fragile Sanctuary. It follows a former FBI profiler and his best friend's little sister. He is working on repairing her childhood home that was burned down and ultimately resulted in the loss of her family, everyone except for her. So she was taken in. That is book 1. Book 2 is called Delicate Escape. It's a little hidden identity. Roommates for her protection, mind you. She's a very like delicate, self-protective type character, and I really, really liked that. Third book is called Broken Harbor, and it is a hockey player, single mom romance. She owns a local coffee shop. The hockey player is actually the only biological child, or the only living biological child of the mom of this foster family. So it kind of unpacks his trauma a little bit and his interaction with our FMC's son. Beautiful. Chef's Kiss, no notes. And then Beautiful Exile, which just released this month at the time of recording. It is that hockey player's GM of the hockey team and foster sister Arden, who's an artist, and it is he falls first and hard, as he should. He should fall first and hard. I love to see it. So it's really, really fun. All set in small town, of course, and all a good old-fashioned suspense plot. And let me tell you what, with Catherine, if you think you have the bad guy locked in, try again, because you're gonna be wrong. She keeps you on the edge of your seat, and I love that about her books. So that's her current release cycle. There's 2 more books set to release this year, 2025, at the time of recording, in that series, and that will round that out. I'm loving this series. I'm staring at the books on my shelves. Y'all, let me just say, I have had the most unreal opportunity to have Catherine send me these like special editions of these books, and all I can do when I sit in my reading chair is stare at them. But I want to take this time really fast to say thank you to each and every one of you for providing me a platform to get to talk about books and to have these opportunities to have a podcast, to get to talk about the things that I love, because it is such a blessing, and I do not take that lightly, because to have a platform is a gift. And I get that, and I really, really appreciate your trust, your willingness to read the books I recommend, and the opportunity that you all give me to have these opportunities. So sorry for that little side quest. I really need to express my gratitude as often as I can, because this is such a gift to me. I will now digress. Moving back to Catherine's last series release, and a true Roman Empire series for me. Welcome to the Lost and Found series. This series follows a true family, a bunch of siblings, and their love stories. They are all on a search and rescue team out on the west coast of America. I know I have some international listeners, so hello to you all. Man, everything about this series to me is perfect. It was back to back bangers. It has every trope you could ever possibly want in a romance book. It really does. Between all 5 of these books, and it starts with a second chance, and then it's friends to lovers, and it's friends to enemies to lovers, and then like a single mom, town recluse type thing, grumpy sunshine, and then a single dad nanny romance. So if you like the trope, the Lost and Found series is going to have it. If you like a type of MMC, the Lost and Found series is going to have it. You want the quiet, broody guy? I have it for you. You want the funny guy? No problem. You want the billionaire? Sure. You want the town sheriff? I got it. Like, it has everything you could possibly want. So, very fascinating. I truly could not recommend that series more. If you were to only pick one series from Catherine to read, I would suggest it be the Lost and Found series. I'm that obsessed with it. I love everything about it. Tattered and Torn series. This is such a unique series. Oh my gosh. It's about another family, but unlike the Hartley family, who we're following in the Lost and Found series, this family is quite dysfunctional due to their youngest daughter's kidnapping and the way that impacted their entire family. That youngest daughter's book is the 5th book in that series, and it's my favorite. I love her, and it's just so interesting. So the first book follows the daughter of the kidnapper and the brother of the girl who was kidnapped. So he hates her. She hasn't been in town in years and has returned to town, and he's like, what are you doing here? And they ultimately, of course, form an unlikely relationship. So it's really interesting. But her dad was a part of an extremist group. I don't want to use the C word, but dare I say cult? A very extreme, doomsday, odd extremist group, right? And that lives on kind of the fringes of this society. So that is what the first book's about. And then book 2 is a brother's best friend romance, single dad, and it is the sister of our MMC from the first book, really interesting. And then book 3 is about the cousin of the FMC from the first book, and she actually escapes the extremist cult as an adult, and it is so interesting. And it's a roommate's romance, and she is living with this family's brother who's returned home. He's a doctor, so that's really an interesting dynamic. There's like a little bit of like an inexperienced, naive element to that, and I felt it was handled delicately and very well. And then the third book actually does not follow a family member. It follows the owner of the local art studio that the FMC in book 3 works at, and I really loved her. Then it's a famous MMC, which love. And then the last book follows, per my last email, the daughter that was kidnapped as a child, and she's kind of chasing her freedom because her parents, specifically her mom, have kept her on a very tight leash and kind of babied her because of this childhood experience she has. And so she doesn't even really have a sense of self, but the local town recluse, horse trainer, ex-convict, forms an unlikely friendship with her. It's one of my top Catherine books of all time. It can be read as a standalone, but it is so fascinating to read at the end of this series where you see how her childhood trauma kind of affects everybody in the family. Crazy, interesting, it's wild. So that is the Tattered and Torn series. Bumping back again is going to be the Wrecked series. It follows a community, like a small town on an island off the coast of Washington, and this one's really unique as well. So not like a true family thing, but each of them kind of like have their own place in this. It's kind of found family more than anything. My favorite book in that series, I would say, is the 4th book, because it's about a heroine on the run type thing, and she is working and managing a private island home, and he just bought the private island. It's very interesting. I like that one a lot. That's my favorite from that series. And then her debut series is called Sutter Lake. And it's another family. It's classic small town and really fun, good romantic suspense. So those are the 5 series from Catherine. All of them romantic suspense. I recommend all of them. I actually think her first 2 series, Sutter Lake and Wrecked, might be free on Audible. Don't quote me. At the time of recording, it is. So if you want to check it out, you absolutely can. Again, my favorite is definitely Lost and Found, and then Tattered and Torn and Sparrow Falls are like neck and neck after that. So that's that. That's a little Catherine. And so I wrapped up Catherine's backlog. Here's what actually happened. Sorry. I read Lost and Found, and then I went back and read Tattered and Torn, because at the time, Lost and Found actually wasn't even finished. The 5th book was forthcoming. And Catherine had posted on her Instagram story about her favorite romantic suspense books, and she recommended a book called There With You by Samantha Young. And so I was like, well, if Catherine says it's good, I'm going to read it. So that is what introduced me to Samantha Young. Samantha Young is a Scottish author, yes, and she writes all kinds of stories, mostly set in Scotland. Her 2 series, the first is called the Adair Family, the second is the Highland series, is some of my favorite romantic suspense of all time. I talk about it all the time on the internet, so those of you who've been around for a long time, this episode is going to be slightly repetitive for you. But when you love something, you talk about it over and over and over again. So here I am. I do recommend reading the Adair Family series before you read the Highland series, because you get to see the Adairs in the Highland series, which is really fun. Both series are set in a small Scottish Highlands town called Ardnach, more specifically set on the Ardnach estate. The Ardnach estate is the Adair family's childhood home. It's a big, think like Scottish castle. And Lachlan, one of the Adair brothers, has purchased this home, their childhood home, and turned it into a luxury estate for the film and television industry. He's a retired actor, and it is just fascinating. The whole thing. The setting is beautiful. I cried when this world came to an end. I was just so sad. I love Ardnach so much. I did cry on the internet. It's out there in the public for everyone to see, because I will post anything. And so, yeah, it's just so beautiful. I'll do a quick little rundown of this series because I just love it. The first book follows Lachlan, the brother who owns the estate, and his bodyguard's daughter. His bodyguard had his daughter when he was 16 and ended up due to circumstances that you find out about, moving overseas with Lachlan. And so our FMC Robin goes to Scotland to kind of like try to rekindle a relationship with her father, and then kind of gets involved with Lachlan because he has a stalker and all of these things are happening. And then her dad is attacked, and she is a retired police officer after unfortunately being shot in the line of duty and recovering. So she has since retired, and so she's like, you know what, I'll take on your case because now this has involved my dad, and he kind of wants her to have nothing to do with it. It's tension, it's angsty, it's hate to love, so good. So that's the first book. And then the second book follows her sister and his brother, age gap, single dad nanny. Again, fantastic romantic suspense. And their family tree in the Adair family is so complicated and it is so fun. I've posted the family tree before, so if you just look up the Adair family on either app that I'm on, you should be able to find my video on it. And it's just so complicated. It's messy, it's angsty, it's suspenseful, it's great. So that's the Adair family series. And then the Highland series follows primarily people in the town of Ardnach, but they're all friends of the family. So friends of the Adair family, people who work on the estate, people who just happen to be friends with them. So fun, so interesting. I love it. And might I recommend them on audio because, per my last email, they're Scottish, so they have accents. These are narrated by, well, most of them are narrated by Shane East and Zara Hampton Brown. They just perform these characters so well. So shout out to you guys. XOXO. And then also a little fun fact, my mom is a huge Samantha Young fan. She has read more Samantha Young books than I have, which is so wild. I think I have read like 18 Samantha Young books, and my mom totally has me beat, and I love that. So those are Samantha's 2 romantic suspense series. Fall of 2025, she's releasing a brand new series. I think it's in the Scottish Isles, so I'm really excited about that one. But in the meantime, she has a great extensive backlog. She has just some contemporary romance. Right now, at the time of recording, she has her werewolf romances are kind of going a little viral on TikTok. So that's kind of fun if you're an Omegaverse fan. So yeah, that is Samantha. Doing a little wrap around here. My favorite entry-level romantic suspense series is The Edens by Devony Perry. It is kind of a good bridge and gateway for romance readers who kind of just want to dip their toes into suspense. There's still plenty of suspense in this series. I would say the romance plots outweigh the suspense plots a bit in this series. So, anywho, follows, you guessed it, a small town family called the Edens, and all 5 of their siblings. If you must know, Sable Peak book 5 in this series is an absolute Roman Empire book for me. I think about this book every single day. When I talk about something being Roman Empire for me, it means I think about it daily or weekly. Like that book comes to mind and I'm just like ruminating on it on a regular basis. So that's what I mean when I say Roman Empire. Should we do a little Chronically Online lesson? I'm just going to run this really fast because we're talking about Roman empires. So back in early 2024, there was a trend going around where girls would ask their boyfriends, husbands, men in their lives, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And they would be like, I don't know. Once a day? Once a week? Once a month? And all of the girls on the internet were like, what? I think about the Roman Empire approximately never. And so the trend was born and the phrase was born, this is my Roman Empire. So the implication is that this is something that I think about daily, weekly, monthly. You see? Okay, so anyway, that's the lore behind Roman Empire in case you missed it. Can't assume everyone knows. So anyway, Sable Peak is a Roman Empire book for me. I just think it is an absolute masterpiece. However, you really need to read Crimson River, the 5th book in the series, to fully appreciate Sable Peak, the 6th book and final book in the series. I do recommend reading the whole thing, but Crimson River into Sable Peak is an unparalleled reading experience. I have references on this. I have concrete evidence. I could probably do an entire podcast episode on Sable Peak by Devony Perry. I am that passionate about it. I love it that much, and I will say it with my full chest, infinity stars. Read it. But you need to read Crimson River first, which in that case, read the entire Eden series first. Okay? Awesome. That book has cowboy MMC, chef MMC, boxer, trainer, police officer, pilot. So we're getting the occupations in there. Yeah, dude. Every MMC you could want, yet again, Devaney is offering. And ooh, I always leave this series out when talking about Devaney's romantic suspense, and that's my bad. She has another series called the Clifton Forge series, and what's different about this one is the suspense plot carries through the entire series. If you're dedicated to the suspense, I would recommend committing to the entire Crimson River series because there is just like a full overarching storyline, and it's really interesting. It follows a disbanded motorcycle club and the like former president. Really, really interesting. So book 1 and 2 kind of cover a local murder. And then book 3, the MMC is actually a famous actor coming to Clifton Forge because they're going to make a movie on the murder. And he's like starring in it. And he's like kind of getting entangled with these people who like really, really, really don't want him to make a movie about this murder. Oh, it's just fascinating. It's fascinating. Then all kinds of things happen, and like someone has to go into witness protection, and there's a book about that. And then there's kind of like an in-between book, and then the last book in the series is actually their rival motorcycle club's president's daughter. And she's like hiding her identity, kind of trying to avenge her father on his behalf, and ends up falling in love with the rival motorcycle club gang's member. Like, oh, so good. So if you like MC Club and you like romantic suspense, Clifton Forge, Devaney Perry. Okay, it's time. Victoria Wilder. We know how I feel about Victoria. We know how much I adore her. We know specifically how much I adore her FMCs. If I've said it in one episode, I've said it in every episode. No one writes a female lead like Victoria Wilder does. She just gets it. She just gets it. And so she has 2 series and a little holiday novella out right now. Her first series is called the Riggs Family series, and the first book is not a suspense, but the second, third, and fourth book do have suspense elements to them, and it follows 4 siblings whose family owns like an outdoors company. Think like REI, like outdoor sporting goods company, and so much suspense. So well done. I'm obsessed with that series, but specifically the second book in the series, Hide and Peek. I recommend it to everybody. It is unreal. So her current series that's being released is an all-time favorite of mine. If you know me, you've heard this. The Bourbon Boys series. Bourbon and Lies, Bourbon and Secrets, Bourbon and Proof. Bourbon and Lies and Bourbon and Secrets are out now, and they are so good. It follows a group of 3 brothers who own a bourbon distillery in Kentucky and the incredible women who capture their attention. And the suspense, unmatched. The characters, so good. I will say the FMC in the first book, Bourbon and Lies, is a top 3 FMC of all time for me. And then the MMC in Bourbon and Secrets is a top 3 MMC of all time for me. So this series has banger after banger in their lead characters. And really, Bourbon and Secrets FMC is up there too. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. So good. Fascinating. The suspense plots are different in both of the books. The third book, Bourbon and Proof, is coming out summer 2025. I'm counting down the moments. Keep an eye out for that. That's Victoria Wilder. We've seen this film before. It is time to talk about K Cove, specifically the Paladin series. If you have not read the Paladin series, what are you doing? For real. If you want your mind to be blown by a plot, you need to read the Paladin series. It's a series about a group of assassins who are charged with eliminating evil people from this world. So it's the lesser of 2 evils to eliminate one person to save the many. The first book is about an assassin in this organization's new like HR girl essentially, and they're absolute complete and utter opposites. The suspense is so good. It's called Whistleblower, and she's a whistleblower for a large tech company because they're selling user data to very, very, very dangerous groups. She can't get a job in the tech industry, and so she's offered a job in human resources and like human organization for this assassin group. It's fascinating. The way K Cove's mind thinks is unreal. And then book 2 is called Tattletale, and it is a best friends, enemies, lovers. Yeah. So good. They're both assassins. It starts out, they finally confess their feelings for each other. Literally. That's how the book starts. It's like you saw them be best friends and how much they loved each other in the first book. And then in the second book, early on, they're like, but I love you. And then she admits that she's about to do something that will get her killed. No two ways about it. And so he tattletales on her. The book's called Tattletale. And he tells on her to the higher up in this group, and she cannot forgive him for snitching. And so she goes undercover, and our MMC is so jealous. Like, guys, so good. I don't want to tell you anything more because I don't want to give it away. I really love that one. Let's talk about Corinne Michaels now. Corinne has a few romantic suspense books that I'm actually in the middle of reading right now. I'm currently reading Help Me Remember, so I'm going to be talking about that in my March wrap up and April release radar episode. I'm absolutely loving it, and this is yet another series where the suspense plot carries through for the entire series. So I'm really, really looking forward to continuing on with that one. But her most recent release, called Here and Now, is a romantic suspense book. It is a heroine single mom on the run, hidden identity, and the MMC is former military, and their dynamic is fascinating. I really, really, really love that book. So if you want an interconnected standalone, can totally be read as a standalone. That would be a really, really good one for you. And then Sarah A. Bailey, the second book in the Pacific Shore series. Y'all know how obsessed I am with this series. Do you hear me? Have I not made myself clear about how much I love the Pacific Shore series? If you have not read it, stop listening to this podcast and go read it. What are you doing? Please. I'm begging you. Anywho, I digress. The second book in that series, called Wicked and Wildflower, has a really, really interesting suspense plot as well. It can be read as a standalone. However, read Heathen and Honeysuckle too. You'll thank me later. But I really like the suspense plot in that one. So that's kind of a standalone little moment there. From Sarah A. Bailey, Fireline by Maggie Yates is the third book in the Griffith Brothers series. Again, can be read as a standalone. And this is true contemporary enemies to lovers. She punches him in the face. She punches him in the face. Yeah, it's that kind of enemies to lovers. It's that serious. She's not playing around. And it ultimately does result in her showing up on his doorstep in the middle of the storm saying, I had nowhere else to go. I sound really happy, but it's awesome because a romance reader, you're like, yes. So anyway, really love that moment. Fun, funky, fresh. Molly Gowen's first book, called Feel It All, has a little suspense moment in that. And her dad is the police chief and the MMC is a police officer. So it's kind of like a boss's daughter type thing. It's really, really like you're sitting there being like, what's going to happen? Because slight spoilers for Feel It All by Molly Gowen's. But they're amidst a third act breakup, right? And she goes missing. And her dad is like, do not go looking for her. Hey, he's gonna go looking for her. What do you take him for, a fool? He's gonna be looking for her. So anyway, love that little moment. And then I think the last little standalone romantic suspense that I'm gonna chat about is called His Greatest Muse by Hannah Cowan. And this is a Morley Gray rock star romance. Yeah. And our FMC is a boxer and she has a stalker. And he handles that situation. I'll tell you that much. He handles that. MMC Noah Hutton. Can we get a hey for Noah Hutton? Hey. Oh my gosh. Is it hot in here? Everyone who reads Noah Hutton loves Noah Hutton. So I'm trying to think of if there's anything more I want to add. Any other books? I'm kind of looking around at my shelves here. I will say Lena Hendricks has 2 series set in the same town, kind of similar to the Ardnock situation. It's called the King Family and the Sullivan Family series. And it's fascinating because the Kings and the Sullivans are like rival families and you kind of get to watch that rivalry unfold. But the King Family series has a small suspense element throughout all of the books that you are uncovering. And I'm really, really loving that. That is still ongoing. So loving it. Okay, great. I think that's going to wrap it up for our little chit chat about romantic suspense. I hope it's okay that I'm like giving recommendations on the podcast. This is kind of like a little recommendation pod. But if you want me to like talk at length about other things, like please don't hesitate to reach out to me, message me, being like, well, be kind. Be kind with your feedback. But if you're like, I would rather you talk about this or that or whatever, totally fine. I would love your feedback. See, because remember, we started this episode by saying, I'm a podcaster of the people. What you say, I'll do. So I think that's going to wrap me up for today. What is your favorite romantic suspense? I know that there's a whole world of romantic suspense that I have yet to be able to read, but there are 24 hours in a day, and if you know me, you know I'm using every last one of those hours. So I'm reading as fast as I can, but if you have an absolute standout favorite, please holler, send it my way, because I would love to know. Authors, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for writing these stories. If you are listening to this, I'm forever grateful to have the opportunity to read your work, because without books, I wouldn't have things to talk about. So, love you, XOXO. And yeah, thank you as always for spending a little bit of your time today with me, and I will see you in the next one.